If you've ever lost weight, and then gained it all back, this is why. And it's not your fault. The real reason you can't lose weight has nothing to do with calories. And once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. What if everything your doctor, your fitness app, and your favorite wellness influencer told you about weight loss was only half the story? Not wrong exactly, just dangerously incomplete. And what if that missing piece was the very reason you've been struggling, cycling through diets, blaming your willpower, and wondering what is fundamentally broken inside you? Because I want to tell you right now, nothing is broken. You've just been handed an incomplete map and told to find your way home. My name is Dr. Ava Harper. I've spent over 15 years working in metabolic medicine and functional health, and in that time I've sat across from thousands of patients, brilliant, disciplined, motivated people, who did everything right and still couldn't lose weight. And through that work, through the research, through the late nights digging into studies that rarely make it into mainstream headlines, I found the real answer. It's not your calories. It's not your macros. And it is absolutely not your lack of effort. Today, I'm going to show you what's actually going on, and what to do about it. Let's start with the story you've been told. You eat too much, you move too little, you gain weight. Eat less, move more, problem solved. It's a tidy little equation that looks great on paper. And in a vacuum, in a perfectly controlled laboratory with no stress, no hormones, no sleep deprivation, no history, no emotion, it might even work. But you don't live in a vacuum. You live in a body that has been shaped by millions of years of survival programming, and that body does not care about your summer goals. It cares about keeping you alive. Here's what frustrates me most about the calories in, calories out model. It treats your body like a calculator. Input minus output equals result. Simple arithmetic. But your body isn't a calculator. It's a symphony orchestra. And when one instrument is out of tune, even slightly, the whole performance suffers, no matter how hard the other musicians are playing. The problem is that most of the weight loss industry is obsessed with the violin section and completely ignoring the conductor. That conductor is your metabolic hormonal system. And the most powerful player in that orchestra, the one almost nobody talks about in plain language, is a hormone called leptin. Let me introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is a 38-year-old teacher, 2 kids, busy life. She decided she was going to lose 30 pounds. She downloaded a calorie tracking app, cut her intake to 1,400 calories a day, joined a gym, and committed completely. For the first 3 weeks, she lost weight. 7 pounds, she was thrilled. Then week 4 came and the scale barely moved. Week 5, it went up a pound. She pushed harder. Ate less. Ran more. By week 8, she was exhausted, obsessed with food, irritable, and had only lost 9 pounds total. She quit. She blamed herself. And 6 months later, she weighed more than when she started. What happened to Sarah is not a mystery. It is biology. It is predictable. And it happens to millions of people every single year. Here's what was going on inside her body. When Sarah began cutting calories, her fat cells started releasing leptin. Leptin is a hormone that signals to your brain that you have enough energy stored, that you're fed, that your metabolism can stay elevated. In the short term, this works. But as Sarah continued restricting, her leptin levels dropped. And when leptin drops, your brain interprets that as a famine signal. Not a diet, a famine. Evolution cannot tell the difference. So your brain does what it was designed to do. It slows your metabolism to conserve energy. It ramps up hunger hormones, specifically ghrelin, to drive you to find food. It reduces your body temperature. It makes you feel tired so you move less without even realizing it. It makes food more psychologically rewarding so your cravings become almost unbearable. This is not weakness. This is a cascade of biological events that are working exactly as designed. The problem is they were designed for a world where food scarcity was deadly, not for a world where we're trying to fit into last summer's jeans. And here's the part that breaks my heart every time I explain it. The harder you diet, the stronger this cascade becomes. The longer you restrict, the more your body fights back. And when you finally give in, which your biology is engineered to make you do, you don't just eat back to baseline. Your body overshoots. It stores extra fat as insurance against the next famine. This is why people who yo-yo diet often end up heavier over time. It's not failure. It's your survival system doing its job with devastating efficiency. But there's more. Because leptin resistance doesn't just come from dieting. It comes from chronic stress. It comes from poor sleep. It comes from ultra-processed food, specifically from high fructose corn syrup, which research shows directly impairs leptin signaling in the brain, essentially making your brain deaf to the signal that says you're full. You could have normal or even high leptin levels and still be functionally leptin resistant, meaning your brain never gets the message. You feel hungry all the time, your metabolism is suppressed, and no amount of willpower can override a hormonal signal you can't hear. This is why you can't outdiscipline a broken signal. And this is why I want to give you a completely different framework, one built around restoring hormonal sensitivity rather than just shrinking your intake. So let's talk about what actually works. And I want you to think of these not as rules, but as restoration protocols, because that's what they are. You are not punishing your body. You are healing it. The first thing I want you to do is prioritize sleep like it is medicine, because it is. Study after study has shown that just 2 consecutive nights of poor sleep can reduce leptin levels by up to 18% and increase ghrelin, your hunger hormone, by 28%. That means after a bad week of sleep, you are biologically hungrier, biologically more prone to cravings, and biologically more likely to store fat. Before you change a single thing on your plate, I want you to protect 7 to 9 hours of sleep with the same seriousness you'd give a business meeting. Dim your lights after 8 p.m. Put your phone face down. Drop your bedroom temperature. This one change alone has helped many of my patients break through plateaus they'd been stuck on for months. The second strategy is to stop treating stress as a personality flaw and start treating it as a metabolic saboteur. Cortisol, your primary stress hormone, directly promotes fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. It also suppresses leptin sensitivity and drives insulin dysregulation. You can be eating perfectly and exercising diligently, and chronic cortisol will fight you every step of the way. I'm not telling you to eliminate stress, that's not realistic. I'm telling you to build a daily cortisol buffer. 10 minutes of slow, diaphragmatic breathing. A short walk in natural light. Time with people who make you laugh. These aren't luxuries. They are metabolic interventions. The third strategy is to restructure how you eat rather than just how much. Instead of slashing your calories and triggering a famine response, I want you to experiment with what researchers call time-restricted eating, not extreme fasting, just condensing your eating window to somewhere between 8 and 10 hours a day. This gives your body a sustained period without insulin spikes, allows leptin sensitivity to begin restoring, and supports circadian rhythms that regulate metabolic hormones. Critically, you are not starving yourself. You're giving your biology a rhythm it recognizes. Most of my patients find they naturally eat slightly less within this window without tracking a single calorie, simply because their hunger hormones normalize. The fourth strategy is to dramatically reduce ultra-processed food, not because of the calories, but because of the signaling disruption. Refined seed oils, artificial sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup, and emulsifiers used in packaged food directly interfere with leptin and insulin signaling. They dysregulate your gut microbiome, which, and this is crucial, produces a significant portion of the neurotransmitters and hormonal precursors that regulate appetite and metabolism. When your gut is disrupted, your metabolic communication system goes haywire. You don't need to be perfect. But moving even 70% of your diet toward whole, minimally processed food creates measurable changes in metabolic hormone function within weeks. The fifth strategy is to rethink your relationship with exercise. Chronic long cardio, the kind where you're grinding out an hour on the treadmill every day, can actually elevate cortisol and suppress thyroid function in people who are already under metabolic stress. I know that sounds counterintuitive. But for someone whose hormonal system is already dysregulated, more stress, even the physical stress of exercise, can backfire. What works far better for metabolic restoration is a combination of strength training 2 to 3 times per week and low-intensity movement like walking spread throughout the day. Muscle tissue is metabolically active, it improves insulin sensitivity, supports leptin signaling, and raises your resting metabolism over time. You don't need to work harder. You need to work smarter, with your biology rather than against it. Now let me give you the evidence, because I know some of this challenges what you've heard before. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed participants from The Biggest Loser, one of television's most extreme weight loss experiments, for 6 years after the show ended. Researchers found that not only had most participants regained much of the weight, but their resting metabolisms had slowed dramatically and permanently. And crucially, their leptin levels remained severely suppressed years after the show. Their bodies were still in famine mode, still fighting to reclaim lost fat, even years later. This wasn't about willpower. This was hormonal biology playing out exactly as the science would predict. A 2022 meta-analysis published in Obesity Reviews examined over 40 randomized controlled trials and found that interventions targeting sleep quality, stress reduction, and dietary composition, independent of caloric restriction, produced comparable or superior long-term weight outcomes compared to traditional calorie-focused diets. Not as a supplement to calorie cutting, as an alternative to it. The body responds to signals, not arithmetic. Research from the Salk Institute has shown that time-restricted eating, without any caloric restriction, improved metabolic markers including fasting glucose, blood pressure, and body composition in overweight adults. The eating window, not the calorie count, was the intervention. And emerging microbiome research from institutions like the Weizmann Institute in Israel has demonstrated that two people eating the exact same meal can have radically different blood sugar and metabolic responses based on their gut bacteria composition. This explains why some people seem to eat whatever they want and stay lean, while others do everything right and still struggle. It is not about fairness. It is about the personalized biology of your metabolic system, and that biology can be changed. I want you to sit with something for a moment. Think about every diet you've tried. Every time you've white-knuckled through hunger. Every time you lost weight only to watch it return, and then blamed yourself for lacking discipline. I want you to understand, with every piece of scientific evidence behind me, that you were not failing the diet. The diet was failing you. Because it was built on an incomplete model of how your body actually works. The weight loss industry generates over $160 billion a year globally. A significant portion of that revenue depends on you failing, regaining the weight, and coming back for the next product, the next program, the next promise. I'm not interested in that cycle. I'm interested in you understanding your body well enough that you never need to be sold a solution again. Here's what I want you to do this week. Not a dramatic overhaul, just one signal change. Pick sleep. Commit to 7 hours minimum for the next 7 days. That's it. No new diet, no new gym program. Just sleep. And as you do that, I want you to start noticing your hunger patterns. Notice when cravings spike. Notice your energy. Because when you start paying attention to the signals your body is sending, rather than fighting them with willpower, you begin to understand a language that no fitness app ever taught you. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are a person who was handed the wrong map and asked to navigate complex terrain. Now you have a better map. Use it. Share this video with someone you love who is in that cycle of trying and blaming themselves, because they deserve this information too. Drop a comment below telling me what has been your biggest struggle with weight loss, because I read every single one, and your story matters. And if you want to go deeper on any of these topics, leptin, cortisol, gut health, metabolic restoration, subscribe to the Health Truth Code, because this is exactly the kind of conversation we have here every single week. Your body is not your enemy. It never was. It's been trying to protect you all along. Now it's time to work with it. If this video opened your eyes, don't stop here. Right over here. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a Health Truth Code videos. New episodes every second day, everyone designed to give you the truth your body has been waiting for. I'll see you in the next one.